How's it going, y'all? Josh here from Vanilla Moose Coffee, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to elevate your pour-over coffee to make a really good cup of coffee at home. And if you're looking for a video on just how to make pour-over coffee, I will link that here and in the description below. But without further ado, let's get started. So kind of right off the bat, let's cover the low-hanging fruit first. To make a really good cup of coffee at home in general, you're going to want freshly grounded beans. And I would recommend getting a burr grinder. A burr grinder has two circular plates, either ceramic or steel, that kind of have teeth on them, and they rotate against each other to grind up the beans, and it's very consistent. It's a bit different than just a blade grinder, where you hit a button and the blade swings around. I would recommend getting yourself a burr grinder. This one is middle of the road, but they do have some affordable ones you can choose from. Or if you want, they also make hand grinders. There's actually two burrs in here, and the grounds come out at the bottom. You can change your grind size, and all you have to do is rotate it. And it takes a while. It's definitely manual labor, but if you're looking for a really cheap way to do it, the hand grinder works just fine. Now let's go over the water, because water is after the beans, the second step, and I almost said one very important step, but they're all equally as important. So the water, what I would recommend for pour over is getting yourself an electric kettle, one you can control the temperature, and one preferably that has a gooseneck. This will create a nice thin stream that you can control really well. The reason for an electric kettle that I would recommend is because you can change the temperature on it, so it's very exact. It's not just like boiling water and you don't really know how hot it's going to be. And the reason that's important is because if you're using a lighter roast, I would recommend getting that temperature to like 205 to 210. And what that does with lighter roast, it pulls out some of those sweet flavors that you want from that light roast. However, on the flip side, if you're using a darker roast, I would recommend doing 190 to 195, because if you go kind of past 200, I don't know if you can hear my daughter, she's crying back there. She's supposed to be napping, but she's not napping. 1 second. Okay, so like I was saying, for the darker roast, I would do 190 to 195, because when you push it past the 200 and up, from a darker roast, since it was roasted longer, you get more of those burnt, smoky flavors that you may not want. And so really, depending on what roast you're doing, the temperature does matter. So with the electric kettle, you can control that. And if you're confused, you don't really know what to do, a good middle of the road temperature to shoot for is 195. That's kind of what I do, just as a general practice. And on top of that, for your water, I wouldn't recommend using tap water. If you're in a pinch and you really don't care, it's fine. But I would recommend using filtered, purified water. I just use this gallon of drinking water because it's pretty pure. When you use tap water, depending on where you are in the country or what city you're in, you may get some unwanted flavors in your coffee from tap water. So using bottled water can just make sure you have good high quality product no matter where you are in the country. Okay. So after you've got some high quality freshly ground beans and you've got some nice fresh water in the proper temperature, we're going to put our filter in our device and grab our heated up water, make sure it's nice and hot, and you're going to just saturate the filter with hot water, make sure it gets all the way saturated. And what this does is it removes any unwanted papery flavor from the coffee, and it also primes the filter for receiving the coffee. And also twofold, what it does is it preheats the pour over device. Now for a plastic device, it's really quick to preheat. If you have a glass device, like I know some Chemexes are glass, maybe run some hot water over it longer so it retains that heat. And then having it drip into your cup, it also preheats your cup. So now everything is nice and warm and ready to go. Now, you want to make sure you discard the water, obviously, because if not, it'll water down your coffee. Okay, so the final tip that I have for this video, again, this isn't a tutorial on how to make pour over coffee, it's just ways to elevate your coffee. But the final tip I have that some people forget is to bloom your coffee. And bloom your coffee means to pre-saturate it with water. That way, whenever it happens, you can actually see bubbles start to form, and that's the carbon dioxide gas that is trapped in the coffee that we don't want in. Once you have your beans in your pre-saturated filter, what you want to do is take your hot water and actually, in a slow motion, just fully saturate the beans. It's going to be about 60 grams of water. But once they are saturated, we'll kind of give them a little swirl. And you can kind of notice the CO2 gas is bubbling up. It's what it's called like the bloom phase, because it's blooming the bed of coffee grounds. And after about 30 seconds, it should be fully settled and you're ready to go on to actually finish your pour. So I hope this nice quick video helped you with some things you maybe hadn't thought about before regarding temperature, water quality, burr grinders, and just blooming the coffee. If you want the full tutorial, again, in the description below, check it out. And if you have any questions or have any other tips that I didn't mention, I know there's probably infinite things you can do to make really good coffee, or infinite things you can do to make your coffee better. But here's basically some easy essentials that you can do. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.